Alright, you runts, sit down and shut your gob hole, cause it's time to learn a bit about one of my favourite boys that the orks has ever had. Now, last time we did a video like this, we did some edumacation on the most common kind of orks that there is, the boys. Gobbing on about where boys comes from, different flavours of boys, and how all great orks, from old boys to the hardest war bosses, start out as boys. It's just a lot of general knowledge that you ditch needs to know. But today I want to talk about something a bit more specific. A very special kind of old boy group, and the best darker boys there is. Okay, second best darker boys there is. The Tankbustas! Now, here's the thing with Tankbustas, right? Now, on the surface, the common variety gets gonna be thinking that Tankbustas ain't nothing special. They's just basically boys with rocket launchers and that's it. But that's the thing, you runts. All orks love rocket launchers. The aforementioned boys always got one getting their mob that has one for sure, but looters got 'em, death dreads got 'em, killer cans, death copters, lifted trucks, megatracks, scrap jets, Chinook warcopters, war buggies, war tracks, dissolving rocket launchers with every kind of boy and vehicle that the orks has got. So what makes Tankbusta so special then, you might be thinking? The same thing that makes all ork odd boys special. Mindset. See, while all Tankbustas starts off as just a boy who just got their hands on a shiny new rocket launcher, there comes a moment when the boy becomes a Tankbusta. As all the boys running a mob, shooting their dakka all over the place, the rocket boy in a mob sees something that the other boys ain't paying attention to. Something big. A big, beaky battle wagon completely covered in dakka. Many beaky shooters all welded together on the sides, and them twin rattler cannons too. Oh, what a target. What a trophy! Bringing down something that killies the stuff a gorgamork it is. So, the boy lowers their rocket launcher, squeezes the trigger, then kablamo! A dead-on direct hit. The enemy wagon now with a massive hole blown in the side, their tracks all busted up good. The boy raises up their rocket launcher above their head and never has there been such a rush, such bliss, such ruck-razar. They rush out to the wreckage on a beaky wagon and grab a nice shiny gubbin off of it and pins it to their armor to commemorate their kill. And thus, a new Tankbusta is born. See, that's the thing about Tankbustas. Days is obsessed, compelled by Mork to blow up and break down every single big boxy tank that they can find. They is overcome with the desire for wanton wreckage, blowing the ever-loving zorg off of the things that are 2, 3, 4, even 5 times the size of themselves. And after they blows up whatever tank days is hunting, they's gotta loot trophies off of their kill. Whether it be a shiny gubbin, metal plates from the wagon to add to their own armor, cogs and bits to make into fancy wear, or even taking a screw off the tank and jabbing it into their skin as a kill counter, Tankbustas do more than just shoot rockets. To them, it's a way of life. And the same can be said about what they do after they bust up tanks too. Once they is done blasting up a wagon, they'll eat up the crew of the tank, and then they'll drink up all the engine oil that the tank's got too, in this ritual thing that, according to the Tankbustas, puts them in this state called being tanked up, where there becomes even more killing when it comes to busting up tanks. And don't look at me like that, you runts. Speed freaks is always gasoline maxing and no one gives them any guff. See, you runts, it's not just rocket launchers, it's all about mentality.
Hi, but boss, don't that just mean that the Tankbustas is just beast snaggers?
See, that's the difference between Zorgan beast snaggers and Tankbustas. Tankbustas got enough sense to have some proper dakka. Zorgan heck. Anyway, that's what makes Tankbustas the way that they is up in their noodle. But what do Tankbustas use that makes them so different than any other boy with a rocket launcher? Well, there's the pocket rocket launcher for starters. See, rocket launchers, well, theirs is kinda big. Big enough that a boy's gonna need both hands in order to shoot it proper, right? But Tankbustas that wants a free hand to swing one of their new smash hammers around, or anything else for that matter, the pocket rocket launcher gives a Tankbusta the freedom of dakka and smash up balance. Or a particularly blast-happy knob might end up having 2 pocket rocket launchers, one in each hand. See, that's the way to use these here guns. Now, you might think that pocket rocket launchers got less punch than the two-handed thing, but you'd be dead soaking wrong. These is just as strong. Just, you know, smarter. A bit more accurate too, but these can only shoot one rocket at a time, so there is that. Next up, the other most common thing that users gonna see Tankbustas using in a good scrap is the Tankbusta bomb. And I soaking love these things. See, stick bombs, well, they got some good punch, but it ain't nothing against a wagon. But these soaking things, they get the job done. See, some genius mech thought about putting a magnet inside one of these big, nasty, blasty charges that'll punch a hole through a Yumi Dread no problem. Just drill in a handle for a boy to carry around and then toss it, and that's all you got to do. The thing will stick to whatever wagon user's trying to blow up, and told me does it blow up. Now, sometimes in a few Tankbusta mobs, you'll see the git swinging one of these things around. A tank hammer. Now, where most sensible gits like myself actually enjoys the act of shooting off various kinds of dakka, Tankbustas that use tank hammers, I guess, get too frustrated when they keep missing. So they took a rocket and strapped it to a stick and just physically smashed the rocket into whatever part of the tank they can find. And while it ain't quite proper dakka, I got to say, it is very efficient and got that unique orky ingenuity to it too that makes it special. Finally, the last thing you're gonna see at the feet of Tankbustas is a very special kind of squig, a bomb squig. And yes, these things do exactly what you think they do. Tankbustas will train squigs to blow in a charge at the first vehicle they sees, moving their scrawny little legs as fast as they can carry them. But, as the name implies, when it comes to real fighting, Tankbustas will strap extra rockets, Tankbusta bombs, and anything else they got that goes boom and straps it down on their squig. Then, as soon as the squig sees anything with tracks and wheels, the boom bombs is lit and the squig runs headfirst into it. Then, BAM! A big old hole in the enemy gets his wagon. Hey, don't look at me like that. I know what you homies do with them flying squid pigeon things. Don't go thinking yours any better than us. Now, that's everything that Tankbustas from many, many years ago takes. But recently, there's been a bit of a shake-up with Tankbustas. Now, the whole mob of Tankbustas is all knobs. You know, bigger, tougher orks that actually boss around the smarter boys. Well, nowadays it's all in one big mob. And not only is Tankbustas bigger, but they got lots and lots of new weapons and worky bits too. Right, some of these here gits ain't just happy with using regular rocket launchers, right? So, nowadays got heavy rocket launchers, which, as the name implies, is bigger, heavier, and able to shoot even more rockets than before. And not only that, but some of these kits will also take advantage of their broad backs and mount rocket racks to them, giving them even more blasty dakka to work with. Oh, and don't forget them new drill missiles when you really go get some penetration dakka into a wagon. There's also that new smash hammer thing that some of them will use now. I mean, I don't exactly get it. These hammers is like hydraulic hammers or something like that, I don't know. Not exactly my wheelhouse if you catch me drift. However, these absolute nutters have taken the pulsar rocket, an absolutely mental piece of ork dakka, and minimized it for personal use. I'll talk some more about it when I can make a proper video about it, but the thing with pulsar rockets is, they don't just blow up like regular rockets. Nah. See, these here rockets got a force bubble generator built into them. Like a mech's custom force field, except even less stable. When launched, the pulsar rocket will emit waves or pulses of energy about him that throws mobs the enemy gets around like nothing, and you can even flip enemy wagons over and such with this thing. So, when you consider that a single boy is launching something like that into a mob of gits, you know it's gonna be both funny and devastating.
Alright, I'll take it from here.
Huh?
I absolutely gotta talk about these guys on the tabletop, and I don't know about you, but I don't want to create a continuity paradox.
You what?
Okay, so how should you use Tankbustas in your army in Warhammer 40k? Simple. Bring as many as you possibly can. 3-stack these things if possible, I'm not kidding. Listen, these things have a native +1 to hit and wound on vehicles and monsters. And when you consider that orc shooting hits on 5s, but with high volumetric fire, that +1 to hit makes a world of difference when bringing down enemy vehicles. Also, if you were to bring rockets on anything else, despite being strength 9, there's a lot of tough 10 tanks out there that you're still going to be wounding on 5s. Having that +1 to wound on vehicles and monsters means that you're wounding on 4s 9 times out of 10 instead of 5s. And based on my experience, that absolutely makes a difference. But you might be asking, what if your opponent doesn't bring a lot of vehicles? Bring Tankbustas anyway. Rockets are 1d3 shots with strength 9, AP 2, and 3 damage with blast. This thing is going to obliterate infantry just as easy, if not easier than it obliterates tanks. You will be wounding any and every infantry unit in this game on 3s, and when you're trying to hit on 5s, you need to make sure that at least your wound roll is going to be reliable. And even against Terminators, that -2 means that their normal save isn't going to be any better than their invuln save, which means they only have a 50-50 shot whether or not it's going to wound them. And if it does wound, that is 3 damage. That is just enough to take out a full Terminator model off the table. Here's the other thing too. It's a blast weapon, meaning you get +1 attacks for every 5 models in an enemy unit. Going up against a blob of 20 Hormagons? With one group of Tankbustas, you get 5 D3 shots, plus 4 extra shots for each rocket launcher you have. That is most likely 5d3 plus 20 shots, averaging 30 shots at strength 9, AP 2, and damage 3. And you're going to be wounding on 2s, by the way. With only a 5-up save, that AP 2 means that most of these bugs, if not most basic infantry, are not going to get a save as they're blasted zogging back. There's a very good reason these guys very recently got a points nerf and why everybody's spamming them. They are dang near good at shooting at everything and pulling everything off the table. Also, do yourself a favor and bring a pulsar rocket for every single mob of Tankbustas you're bringing. I know that extra rocket launcher looks tantalizing, but that +1 weapon strength and additional -1 AP means that any vehicle you hit that's tough 10, and there's a lot of them, well, that pulsar rocket buff means that you're going to be at weapon strength 10 against their tough 10, meaning that you're going to be wounding on 4s, but don't forget, you have that +1 to wound, so you're going to be wounding on 3s instead. And this gets even better because you're going to be rolling on 2s if that vehicle is tough 9, which a lot of Necron and Eldar vehicles are. Also, always pair up Tankbustas with big mechs with shock attack guns. Not only does the mech give his shooting buff of rerolling once to the Tankbustas, but Tankbustas give that pulsar rocket buff and that +1 to hit and wound on vehicles to the big mech. Think about that. A strength 10 shock attack gun wounding most big models on 4s, if not 3s, with AP 5. If that enemy vehicle doesn't have an invuln save, they mathematically cannot get a save at all. It's brutal. Finally, never ever get these guys in a melee despite them being orcs. Their CQC game is absolute trash and are going to do next to nothing in a fight. Keep them at range and keep pouring down rockets. Man, what else is there to say? These guys have the best, well, second best shooting of any orc infantry that I've seen, and I for the life of me can't understand why you wouldn't max stack these.
And there you have it. As that Weedy Yumi kid says, good talker will always get things done and done right. But you also got to be smart about your talker. You can't just turn a bunch of shooter boys at a tank and expect them to get much crumping done. Nah, for that you need the right boys for the right job. Thanks for watching, idiots, and an even bigger thanks to all the boys, knobs, flash kits, and bosses who's just kind enough to throw their teeth at me so we can keep making more videos about the best kits in the galaxy. You boys is the best, and don't you forget it. But as always, you runts, sub up and zog off! So you see this thing right here at the end of a Tankbusta's rocket launcher? Did you get to know that was a can opener? Yeah, I didn't think so.